And we're here with Connor Ryan. Connor, what is up?
Evan, I'm doing well. How you doing?
Doing great. Doing great. We are normally, as you listeners know, this comes out on Tuesday, but because the Winter Classic happened on Monday, Winter Classic was a game we really couldn't be like, hey, we're recording before, well, guess what happened? This was a little bit bigger than a normal game, obviously. Winter Classic, heck of an event. We were both there. We were one seat over from each other. So we were very close, and Ty was in our row, and it was a fun time to be
It was
had.
between that and everyone else, like, old friends and new friends alike showing up there. It was like the end of Avengers Endgame. It was like the portal scene. Everyone just showing up like, you're here, all this stuff. So I flew in from California back. Like it was great.
I
Had
was
like four
there.
hours of sleep. Everyone was there. It was great.
That's the fun of it. And I think that was, like when I went for the skate on Saturday night, I saw people there that I hadn't seen in a while. I mean, I'm not at every single game anymore. And to be there to see everybody was so cool. And to see, like Steve Buckley and our good friend Phil Stacy from the Salem News, like seeing everybody like that. And there are many others we're forgetting that, just you see, it's great. It's a fun time. And it was a really great event. Was there any surprises to you, not about the game, but about the scene, the spectacle of the Winter Classic? Was there any surprises?
Yeah, I think probably fittingly my first column at Boston.com kind of focused a little bit on that I think the Winter Classic, when you look at it as just an event, it's easy to be cynical about it, right? It's easy to like hear about it and roll your eyes, and you talk about the ice is going to be really crappy, and they've already done Fenway before, and there's only so many other places they can do and all these things. But I kind of compare it to like seeing like Sweet Caroline break out at Fenway at like a playoff game or something at Fenway, right? Where like, yes, it's easy to be cynical. You've seen it a bunch of times before, but in the right context, still shouldn't take something like that for granted. It shows like, kind of the spectacle of what sports can be. And, it's one thing where the Bruins, it helps quite a bit that they came back and won that game, but you're there, the skies cleared up. You got that, rose tinted sunset, hockey on the ice, weather was pretty good. Can't go wrong with that, right? Like it's one of those things where, in principle you talk about it, and then you see them on the ice, you see them showing up in their Red Sox jerseys, you see the actual Winter Classic sweaters they have. It's hard not to like, shirk that and be like, this is just another game, right? Like it is something that I think, especially for the players, they really seem to cherish it. And you kind of saw that translate to the almost 40,000 people that are there at Fenway on Monday.
Oh, I think there was close. I think there was more than the announced crowd there. I went out and watched the first period from the standing room section because it was outdoors and I could kind of feel the atmosphere. And there were a lot of people that I don't know if they had tickets. Again, I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just, you just wonder. There's lots of people. There's lots of people. You're 100% right. And I think, being there. It was a stunning thing to see. I was not there, and you weren't there in 2010 either, correct?
No, I was not.
No, I was not there in 2010. I know everyone said it looked amazing. It looked equally, I think, amazing. On Monday, I think Fenway as a whole, the view. I think if you're down on my friend sent me a picture. She was like 2 rows from the field,
That's
on
not
the
great.
first base side. I don't know how she saw a lick of the game. But I will say, like, I don't care about the views, the sightlines. Maybe, we're taking for granted the press box view, which was terrific. But Fenway is a great place for the Winter Classic. Like, I think that is a historic ballpark. I know it's been there before, but like Wrigley should maybe have another down the road. Not now. The Blackhawks team is awful, but like down the
Yes.
road when that 8-year, 10-year rebuild is done, maybe go back to that. What did surprise me though, and you called this a while ago. I was a little lukewarm on those Bruins Winter Classic sweaters when they first came out. I said, those are okay. I think they could have done a little bit better. Maybe winter, green monster theme or something. I don't know. Think outside the box. You've had a million outdoor games. And you said, Evan, wait till you see it on the Fenway ice. And I think your thoughts will change. And you were right, Connor, because they walked out in those, and with the green monster in the backdrop and Bobby Orr shooting the ceremonial puck pitch and the whole thing, the whole shebang, it looked amazing. The sweaters look great. They'll look great on garden ice. And that is where I will gladly eat crow, because there's nothing worse than seeing bad uniforms in events like this, like Chicago a few years ago in the Notre Dame Winter Classic.
Oh yeah.
those were as bland as they come. But these were good, and I'm very happy they were good. And there, you were right. You were right, Connor. You get to take a victory lap for that one because I was way off.
When in doubt, never doubt the classic 70s, 80s Bruins logo. Like when
I know.
again, people said like it wasn't big enough, or there's too much stuff going on with the actual sweater itself. Can't go wrong. It always hits. It's like watching Home Alone on Christmas Eve. You've seen it plenty of times before. Always hits.
Always hits. The other thing is the Centennial logo was announced, which is very cool. Curious if maybe they switch up the sweaters for the 100th year. I don't know. I mean, it made no indication of that, but maybe.
I mean, if you saw the new Centennial logo where it really harkens back to like that little bear cub, I think what it really means is we see it with a whole bunch of these NHL teams, Evan, right? You got like the Capitals, the Blues, get a little, a Labrador Retriever puppy. It's cute. Next year's going to be the year. They're going to bring a little grizzly on the ice. He's going to be the little mascot.
It's gonna be a pet grizzly.
It's gonna be like Bevo that goes to like the Texas Longhorns, that gigantic cow that's just there. Like they're gonna have blades, like the actual blades, just hanging there, like in the front row. They're gonna have a little section for him, a couple of armrests. He'll sit back, little bear cub.
They're gonna give him his own section because he's gonna be so crazy that maybe he attacks a fan. They call Barry Feinstein.
I think he'll be well behaved. I think he's amongst his people with Bruins fans, so I don't think anything.
That point. Yeah, it's his team.
Absolutely. I mean, what can go wrong? You put a grizzly bear in the middle of a crowded section against the glass. It's fine.
There's a thing, and this is a TikTok thing. Maybe you've seen it. I think it's down in Tennessee. We're going off on a tangent here, but it's down in Tennessee, and is a family of bears that just kind of hangs out in the town. It'll walk with its cubs across the street, and you'll see it in the woods all the time. And they don't really bother people because they're used to people. So maybe they will harken down. They will go and grab those bears, bring them up here, give them a couple rows at each game, maybe a suite, and they can be, they can hang out with Blades, the real the mascot, and maybe they can make that work. Maybe that's it.
I think you're describing the Disney classic, The Country Bears, is legitimately what you just did, but I'm all for it. If they can do a little jamboree, like you can have that lead in. You don't want, like the third period, they always have that "Let Me Hear You Scream" song by Ozzy Osbourne. Heard it a lot. Have them do like a little jamboree, like little dueling banjos. Like that will get the crowd going up in Boston. So
yes,
this is going so far unhinged in terms
of
what
YouTube comments are going off the rails right now.
It's like people Conor switches jobs and he's just going on a tangent with the Country Bears. So
let them run around the ice.
Yeah, it's fine.
The Bears. I'm saying the Bears. But a great event. It was a fun time, as you said. One of those things that I think one of those moments you're there. I think for fans, it's a lot of money to pay for tickets, but I do think my guess is it was probably worth it for most people. I haven't seen any like big complaints on Twitter. Maybe I'm missing the big complaints, but I have not seen the huge ones.
It also helps that they won. Like that's also the thing. Yes. Like, I will say the first two periods, a little slow. It's dreary, what you expect. It's slow. What you expect with an outdoor game, right? But it's all about who ends up winning it. I think it switches the whole complexion of the game. If the Bruins lose that game 1-0 or 2-0 after they pull the goalie or something, then it's a very downtrodden, right? But you flip the script there in the third with DeBrusk, I'm sure we're going to talk about in a minute. Change the whole complexion. You got the players are happy. They're wearing their Red Sox jerseys after the game. Fans leaving happy, screaming down the brick hallways of Fenway Park, which we all saw. So it was good. Made for a good scene at the end of the game, obviously.
Yes, the third period was worth it, and nobody was better in the third than Jake DeBrusk. 2 goals, the tying goal, the winning goal, right place, right time. Really, I mean, I think, DeBrusk gets a lot of the attention, but Marchand with an incredible deke on that first goal. Yeah. And then you had, great pass by Krejci, Taylor Hall taking it to the net on the second goal, working well. But you look, and a lot of people wrote about this. You wrote about this as well for Boston.com. You look at DeBrusk, who, I mean, do you remember when, I think it was like November of 2021, when the trade rumors were swirling that Jake DeBrusk might be a good trade for Mason Appleton of the Winnipeg Jets. Was he the Jets or the Kraken?
He was on the Kraken, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was it was one of those two teams. There was something involved with the Jets as well. I vaguely remember.
It's
Maybe
like
that was the
Adam
deadline.
Lowry or something like that. Was
It
it?
was something weird. It was a fringe player, and we at the time, to our credit, we have always said this about DeBrusk. We have always said this is where I can take a victory lap too. We even said at the trade deadline when they were talking about Matthias Ekholm, we said DeBrusk is going to go to Nashville and he's going to score 30 goals. And we always said, like with Mason Appleton, we said, why would the Bruins want another fringe top six-ish player? Like, what would be the reason for that? DeBrusk is going to go to Seattle or Winnipeg and do terrific. And you change the coach. And by the way, again, we've said this, he was great under the Cassidy the end of last year. But you look at this year and just he's a different guy. Like this is vintage Jake DeBrusk. This is the DeBrusk they drafted. This is the DeBrusk that, had a great season in 2018-19. He is back. And I think Winter Classic game kind of just showed it all.
Yeah, I think Nick Foligno said it best. I think after the game, he said he was, quote, a man on a mission. That's what he's been this season. You said it, like, it's not just he's not reinventing the wheel, but he's doing the things that, what was the knock against him for so long, even when he was like a legitimate top six player, it's that he'd have those droughts of games where it's 3 goals, 2 goals, 2 assists, and then it'd be zeros for 8-9 games. Now it's
and he wasn't noticeable in games.
Yeah, now it's a goal and an assist, an assist, an assist, a goal, 0 points in 2 games and then 2 goals. Like he's consistently bringing it, and it's off of just being, dogged in his determination, right? He's hanging around grade A ice. You saw that in both those chances, both those goals against the Penguins. I mean, even the first goal where he takes that puck from, he takes that shot from Grzelcyk and is kind of hobbled for a second, gets back up and, jams that puck home after he gets that puck from Brad Marchand. So he's just, playing at such a confident level right now, which you saw at times, like even his rookie year, or even the year he scored 27 the following season. But I mean, the way he's playing right now, he's on pace, I think, for 36 goals. And even if like that
Wild
takes this, even that takes a step back. All right. If you asked me before the year, all right, he's going to finish with 33 goals and 66 points, you'll take it, right? Like,
oh my God.
He's been fantastic. And, the thing that was always working in his favor, even those early years, was not just the production, but delivering on the big stage. And when they needed it, he was the guy that you'll get his style of play as well. That's the guy you need to deliver in the Winter Classic, right? Like, you're not going to have moving the puck very well. The ice isn't going to be cooperating with you. You need someone that's going to jam it home down low. Jake DeBrusk.
Oh my God. And here's the other thing about DeBrusk, and this is something I think we'll get to, and we've touched on it a little bit in past episodes, but the trade deadline is coming, and we've said multiple times, the Bruins aren't really in a position for multiple reasons to make a huge move. And I think some people are saying, well, what about like Patrick Kane, and you could bolster the top 6. And my assumption is you would probably move Kane in for DeBrusk on that top line, or I guess maybe you could move Zach off the second line and you'd have like Hall, Coyle, and Kane, which is ridiculous. I don't want to get into that because it's going to get people all riled up. Like one fan we heard in the concourse. I guess I won't repeat it. You can look at Ty Anderson's tweet.
Yes,
a little PG-13 to say on here. We're such a clean program.
We watch the Country Bears.
Yeah, we watch Disney movies. But I do think, there's no reason to move him out of there. Like he went from being, hey, he's, coming into the year, it was, hey, he's probably a top 6 guy. He'll make it with Marchand and Bergeron. They'll make him work, to now he's a legit top 6 winger. Like I believe he is a reliable pillar of that top 6.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one thing where it's tough to knock the production right now, but also just the confidence, right? I think the last thing you want to do, and again, there's been multiple guys on this team that have been pretty selfless in terms of their reps and, making the most of the opportunity. Look at Taylor Hall, who, if you asked us before the year if he was going to be bumped down to the third line, be like, the hell happened there? Like, what is he doing with his own game? But it's all about the fit and the production. And, he's a guy that, embraced that opportunity and delivered in that spot. That being said, like, if DeBrusk is, after all that's gone on the last couple of years, he's in the top 6. He's producing. He's confident. He's playing confidently. He's not, having stretches of the game where it's tough to notice him. Like, keep him in the top 6. Like, keep him in that spot. Not to say you have to augment your whole lineup around just like making sure he's still riding this kind of high of how he's playing right now, but don't mess with a good thing, right? Like, you don't have to augment your roster when you have a guy like DeBrusk who is on pace for 36 goals, right? It's not like that he's playing consistently and he's giving good effort and he'll give you 20 and 20, which is great. Like
Yeah.
36 goals and 65, 70 points. Pretty damn good.
Don't mess with that. No, don't mess with it. And I don't think they are. I mean, the only thing is they move him off the top line sometimes to put Pastrnak up there, but like, come on. Like,
Not
that's
a bit.
David
Yeah,
Pastrnak.
that is the ultimate, break glass in case of emergency, right?
Yes,
So
yeah.
I think even DeBrusk is like, I get it.
Yeah, that's understandable. Which by the way, I'm guessing we'll probably hit on the David Pastrnak contract situation on Poke the Bear. There was some, kind of newish reports from Pierre LeBlanc. They weren't super new. They were,
Yeah.
there were reports of something. So we'll probably discuss that on Poke the Bear, as well as the long West Coast road swing that awaits the Bruins, which should be interesting. All those late West Coast games, staying up late for all that fun, messing up our sleep schedules just for that, which should be interesting. Speaking of the West Coast, before we get into some other good stuff, next year's Winter Classic, Vegas and Seattle, in Seattle. So Bruce Cassidy misses the Winter Classic this year, but he'll get it next year. Fortunately for him, that I think that's interesting. The two expansion teams, good place.
We'll see how it
interesting
works
spot.
out. Yeah. I mean, it's good. I like it more. People were saying that it should have been in like Seattle, the Seahawks stadium. Like having gone to it's called T-Mobile Park now. I always call it Safeco, the Mariners
It's
ballpark.
always Safeco.
Yeah, I always it's like how like I still don't call the Blue Jays stadium like Rogers Center? It's Skydome. Like it's still Skydome.
Oh yeah, see that's before my time.
Yeah,
So
okay.
more for
Now
me
I
is
feel
like
old.
yeah, well more for me is like the Lakers or Staples Center, not like crypto.com arena
Right.
or whatever it is.
Right, exactly.
I don't know about that.
We'll see how long that lasts. Yeah, I mean, they have to bring Staples back, which things are going haywire there. But
Papagino's Stadium.
I wish they would never do that. They would never take a regional institution like that.
Ah,
But for a ballpark like that, it should be pretty neat. Again, they're clearly committed to growing that market out in Seattle. It's good that, granted, the Kraken have kind of fallen back to earth a little bit, but at least they're building off of what was a very disappointing year last year. Like they've got younger players that are playing well. Guys are buying more into the system. The goaltending isn't like historically bad. It's still not great, but I guess it's a step up when you're not like giving up 5 goals a game. So good to see them hopefully be on the upswing. If that team can make another big step forward next year and they continue to grow in a market like that should probably have like a basketball team at some point as well. That'd be very cool to see.
yes, Matty Beniers, New England guy. That's
Yes.
second full season. Yeah. Oh yes. But back to the Bruins. Ty Anderson made a good point to us after the game. He said
Never does.
Never. This is the first time he's
kidding.
ever made a good point.
I'm kidding. Shout out, Ty.
That's me.
We love you.
But with this Bruins team, every time you give this team an inch, they take a mile. They get one bounce. You looked. I mean, again, you look at those first 2 periods. That team looked dead. There was no energy there. And again, Nick Foligno kind of took over the locker room in between the second and third periods. Montgomery said after the game, sometimes I have to remember I have to shut. Well, he said I have to remember to shut up in the third, I believe, or it was something with that. And Krejci and Bergeron turned around and like, we got this, we're fine. But Foligno took over the locker room in the second intermission. And again, I mean, they get that bounce, they score that DeBrusk goal, and the rest, I mean, it was after 5 minutes. The rest of the game was all them. And that's been the MO for them this whole year. I mean, as Montgomery said after the game, they're the best third period team in the league for a reason. And I mean, it just goes back to this, Connor. Something about this team. There's something about this team.
Yeah, it's just something, even like looking back, what it reminds me of, going back to my collegiate days was like that BU team with Eichel in them. Like that team was, I think, only outscored teams like by like they're like +2 in goals in the first and second period, and then in the third, I think they were like plus like 39 or something like that. It was like one of those teams where they're so good where you can hang back. You feel like
that was the 14-15 year, the single Eichel year.
Yeah, the year where they never played the championship, which is really weird. But that was one where it's like, all right, the first 2 periods, the other team's probably like, all right, we're catching them on a bad day, like we are playing well, and then like Eichel, Grizzly, and those guys just took over, right? And it's like it's almost like you're not surprised at this point. If this team's down by like 2 goals in the third period, it's almost feels like a situation where you're almost expecting them to win now. When like they came back and beat the Penguins down in Pittsburgh for that game, that was like a fantastic comeback. And you're like, all right, this team really has something. Now it's almost expected, which is a very high level of expectations to place on a team, even a team like this that's playing so well, but they haven't really let you down that much in terms of multiple games like that, right? I mean, it's insane just how much those guys collectively can buy in and can really dominate. Even all they need is to like string together about 10 good minutes of hockey, and usually talent-wise, veteran metal, all these things, like in those 10 minutes, they can win and get 2 points out of it. So when you see them actually put together a complete game effort, it makes them really scary, right?
Depth, elite goaltending, incredible. And I mean, you even look at that last 10 seconds. You look at kind of how that went for the Bruins. Like, you know, they fended off the rush of Pittsburgh, and the Pittsburgh scores just after the buzzer. Doesn't count. Bruins win the game. That's kind of how the season's kind of gone in a weird way. Like, they've just, everything's going their way. And you look at Ullmark, who, by the way, I don't think people are talking enough about this. He almost scored.
People aren't really talking about it, are they, Evan?
No, they are not. And I, you know, it's funny as he started to do it, as I saw him start to do it, and the puck flies over, and in the neutral zone, like my heart starts fluttering. I'm like, oh my God.
I think I
like,
heard
can you yeah, I did. I was like, oh, like that's one of those, like, that's a once in a lifetime type moment, you know? And you see Swayman tried it earlier this year, and he was like inches. I wasn't at that. I mean, that is ridiculous how close that was. I imagine the roof of the Garden actually, like, the building would have vibrated if that went in. And you think about if Ullmark scored in Fenway, like, that would have just been, I mean, I like, you know, you just, place explodes. I don't even know what happens then. I think people just, you know, just disintegrate at that point.
I think the place just goes into orbit. I think we fly over like Chelsea or something like that.
Yes, we go to like Venus.
It's like the glass elevator in Willy Wonka, except unfortunately we're just flying over like just the North Shore instead.
Oh, great. Well, I don't know, that part of that part where the Willy Wonka factory wasn't too nice either. So
that is true.
You had Charlie's house that was, you know, like dilapidated across the street.
It wasn't great. They needed a fixer-upper, Evan.
Yeah, they really did. They really did. They'd wake up with snow all over them. But yes, the goalie goal, people aren't talking about it enough. I thought that was quite impressive. Would have made for heck of a day. Heck of a event. The Winter Classic, you know, was just, we recorded the Winter Classic preview episode kind of before we normally do, because I think you were going to California, so obviously I didn't want to bother you while you were out there or have it be while you're on the plane. I believe I said Jake DeBrusk would be the hero. Someone pointed that out to me on Twitter.
I think you did.
So I have to go find that on YouTube and tweet it. I should have done it on Monday, but I got to do that at some point.
I'm pretty sure mine was Derek Forbert, who I think also had like a hilarious caption. I want to say, like,
yes,
he did
the same bidet as David Ortiz.
Yes. So he did contribute. So it all works out. Also, that just now cracks me up of like if I had to record an episode of Bruins Beat or Poke the Bear on the plane, of how much people would be like, "Who the hell is this guy talking about the country bears on our cross country flight?"
What is wrong with him? You just great plane etiquette.
But of course, as is always the case, is the one rogue Bruins fan who's in the gallery of people who would be like, who give the shout out. So yes.
I was fortunate enough after the game. There were Evan Michael, a Twitter follower of mine and yours, and it was me, Pete Blackburn, Megan Kelly of ESPN. We were just standing around talking with some other people, and Evan came up and we were talking, and very nice. And you know, he loves our work, and it's always fun to see fans out and about. You know, Bruins fans. I don't mean our fans. I mean Bruins fans. Yeah, come on, we're not, heads aren't that big. But fun times the Winter Classic was. Conor, you produced a lot for the Winter Classic for Boston.com. What can people look forward to from you over there?
Yeah, it was a fantastic first day in terms of coverage.
Yes, it was your first day of school.
First day, yes, exactly. So, but no, I'll have more stuff, whether it be the Bruins or anything that's big happening in sports. You can find all of my work over at Boston.com. We'll have features, columns, game reports, all that good stuff over there on that website that covers everything that, you know, is important in Boston these days. So if you want to follow me over there, just follow me at Boston.com. And if you want to follow me on Twitter as well, you can at ConorRyan_93.
Go do all that. For CLNS Media, I'm Evan Marinofsky. Bruins Beat listeners, have a great rest of your week.